So a cost of changing my criminal behavior would be I would not have a extra card. I would be stranded in a city. I tried to use the card for a bus to leave Austin for a bus ticket. And so that's why I was trying to use the credit debit card for a bus ticket. And I also was trying to get some shoes. Let me see. I was trying to get some shoes and a bus ticket. I'm actually from Houston. I was trying to get back to Houston for some business so I could try to find some work. And I was trying to get away back there because I run a business. I was run a self-employed business. I was working construction, and I had money, but I couldn't use the money that I use because I also am a part of an entertainment business, and I had to save that money for my entertainment business. And so I had to use that money. I was going to use that money for the pair of shoes from the debit card that I found for a pair of shoes, and a bus ticket. And so I wound up giving it back to the person that it belonged to and canceling everything. But since I attempted it, it was an attempt. You get what I mean? Just because I attempted it, it didn't happen. I didn't wind up with anything. I didn't get anything out of it, but just because I attempted it, and the police got involved. So I didn't benefit anything, but just because I attempted the process, the police got involved. So I didn't, that's the cost. I'm not, losing out anything, I didn't go through with it, you know what I mean? But they decided to, I guess, press charges anyway. Because I gave it back to the woman. I said, I apologize, and gave it back to the woman that lost the debit card anyway. And said, here you go. And so the police took me into jail anyway. What was that? Well, since I was younger, that's why I'm taking this class with you right now. Yes. Yes, I have family there. No. Well, I had to build a life here since I got into all of this situation. I had to start a life here. Everything that's going on. I went to college about an hour away from here. I got my degree, and everything's life kept happening. So now I've already built connections in the area. I built connections from this area. So now how business works and grows. I have to just keep growing. If I relocate, it's not as easy as you think it is just to relocate. Business. To Well, yes, I am interested in business in general, but I have my own company. I have a. So what question are you? Well, yes. Well, I had to work construction in the meantime just to make do. But because that's a big business, in this, especially in this area. But I have my like my entertainment company. I worked in the music industry, and I worked in communications, and the stock market, and so that's a very broad business to be involved in. And so I deal with politics and a lot of uh, different people, and so there's really a lot going on, especially in this major metropolitan city. Austin is the capital of Texas, and and if I relocate, it's just a really big deal. People already know that I'm from where I'm from, and I've already established uh, my position here in Austin, Texas. So I'm talking to companies, so here. So there are different businesses, but there's businesses established here in Austin that I need to connect with, not just in not just in let's say in the U.S. It's a lot of other countries as well. I just have to keep on finishing this program. And I'm sorry, man. Back to what you were saying. What I know we're working on benefits of changing.
really trying to look at every decision that we are making. I've used this scales with a lot of different things. When was trying to make a decision about changing jobs, so it said nothing involving criminal activity, but I looked at all the benefits of the job I had, and then I was looking at, what would I have to give up if I left that job, and just really weighing it all out, so that, I like to take stuff down and write it down in black and white, because it makes things more clear to me when I can see it on paper than just keeping it all up in my head. So it's just a tool, essentially, to help with decision making.
Okay.
Okay?
Right.
So then, does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so the next page that we're going to talk about is page 14. And you want to read the top of that so that you understand what we're talking about?
Okay. It says here, if feedback is the next step, learning to give and receive constructive feedback is a skill you will learn in this program. Feedback means sharing your thoughts and ideas about someone's actions with that person. The feedback you give to other members of the group will help them make positive changes. Feedback can be constructive or destructive. Constructive feedback helps you look at ways to change and improve your behavior. Destructive feedback doesn't offer any useful information to help you learn about yourself. Instead, it can cause you to become defensive. Constructive feedback.
So this is go ahead.
Sharing your thoughts about another person in a way that is caring, is supportive, helps them improve, helps them make positive changes, is respectful. Destructive feedback, sharing thoughts about another person in a way that insults them, causes them to get defensive, is selfish, is not useful, is disrespectful. So that's destructive feedback versus constructive feedback. So
it kind of so it asks you, like, when someone gives you destructive feedback, what do you think or what do you feel about that?
Okay. It says, think about how you respond when someone gives you destructive feedback. What thoughts do you have? You want me to answer the question then tell you?
Yeah.
you want me to answer the questions?
Yes. Yeah, so what were your thoughts and feelings?
It says, think about how you respond when someone gives you destructive feedback. What thoughts do you have? I think they are disrespectful. They are insulting. What feelings do you have? Angry, frustrated, and sad? How do you act when you get destructive feedback? And I answered, mean, mad, defensive.
Okay. So, and this is, I kind of like the lesson, I guess, in this is that, you know, when we give constructive feedback, people are going to be more likely to hear us. And when we give people feedback in a destructive way, you know, it causes them to, you know, essentially stop listening. So if someone is being insulting or, you know, you can tell that they don't, you know, care about you. Yeah, you get angry and frustrated and just kind of stop listening. So the feedback that they're giving, you just don't hear it. So it's so important to, you know, talk to people in a way that you are imparting that you care about them and whatever it is you're giving the feedback in. And so that's kind of what, when we're doing group, we always ask, of course, people to give positive feedback to one another, but also carrying over into our lives how important it is to come at people in a way that shows that you're trying to help them rather than trying to just, you know, put them down for maybe something they're not doing right. You know, the whole point of feedback is to help somebody improve, not to make them feel worse about themselves.
Right.
So the next page talks about the 6 steps to give feedback, and then the six steps to receive feedback. So you see like a spiral notebook looking thing, and at the top of the page it says giving feedback and receiving feedback are both skills that take practice. It takes effort to make sure the feedback you give is constructive. When you receive the feedback, it can be easy to jump to conclusions, to feel angry or defensive. Both giving and receiving feedback gets easier with practice. Keep in mind the purpose of giving feedback is to help people make positive changes. So, you know, we usually do role plays in the class where everybody gets to practice giving positive feedback, but it is just as tricky to be able to receive feedback. And, you know, if somebody gives you feedback, you know, you don't just go, and then that's it. It's like there's actually steps that you have to go through to be an effective listener. Because it's partially about communication. Communication is part about talking, but it's really a lot about listening.
Okay.
So these steps, there's nothing written down there, so I'm gonna tell you what these steps are, and then you can copy down what I'm telling you, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so step 1 is going to be, what is the issue or behavior you want to talk about?
So that's what we're doing, is writing down the 6 steps of giving constructive feedback that are present during the session.
Yeah, exactly. So did you get step 1?
Yes.
Okay, and so step 2 is going to be when, where, and how. And then step 3 is going to be facts or solutions. And then number 4 is going to be decide what to say. And number 5 is going to be give feedback. And then number 6 is going to be evaluate. Okay, so did you get all that?
Yes.
Okay, so then on the next little, like the little spiral notebook, it's got 6 more, and this is going to be the steps of receiving feedback. So number 1 is going to be maintain eye contact. Number 2 is going to be ask questions. Number 3 is going to be sum up.
Fill up.
Sum up, like SUM. Number 4 is going to be give your thoughts. Number 5 is going to be make suggestions. And number 6 is going to be evaluate. So to kind of walk through that, so let's say, for example, you are wanting to give feedback to somebody. So in step 1, you would basically be thinking about what do I want to talk to them about? And then you might be thinking, like, what's the best time and the best place to talk to them? And then you would be thinking about, like, what exactly do I want to share? What are some of the facts I want to share? What are some of the solutions? You kind of thinking about all this in your head. Then you 4 thinking about, well, what is it I actually want to tell them? So you kind of formulate your plan of what you want to say. And then number 5 is when you actually talk to the person. You actually tell them whatever it is that you want to talk to them about. And then 6 is when after it's all said and done, it's like, how did that go? Did I do that effectively? Is there something I could have done different? But it's always about, we're always like constantly evaluating ourselves and how do we do with things. And then on the flip side of that, the steps of receiving feedback, that would be like if somebody were come to you and say, hey, Kristin, I want to talk to you about something. And so what your job would be essentially is to basically maintain eye contact, pay attention to what they're saying. Make sure that you ask questions so you understand what it is what they're telling you. Number 3, like sum up, or like essentially we kind of repeat back what they said so that you make sure that you're on the same page and you're understanding what they're telling you. And then 4 is basically what do you think about what they're saying? You know, what are your thoughts about it? And then on number 5, it's like kind of making suggestions about how we can work on the situation, or, you know, make some sort of response to what it is that they're telling you. And then lastly, of course, evaluate. Like, well, how did that go? Did I listen well? Do I need to work on that? You know, and a lot of times communication happens really quickly, but the more thought we can put into our communication, the better we're going to actually communicate, because we're going to say what we want to say and be clear about it and stay on point. It's really important, I think, when we're giving feedback, is to stay on point of one topic instead of, people have the tendency of wanting to discuss all these different topics, and sometimes it gets overwhelming. And it's difficult if we can just stay with one specific topic. It makes it easier to stay focused and come up with solutions.
Oh, right.
Okay, so when we go to the next page, it actually it's an opportunity to sort of put these steps into practice. So what it asks you to do is it asks you to pick out a situation. This is just practice work. Pick out a situation and write down how you would address this with somebody. So, for an example, it gives you the mess. I want to talk to somebody because the mess in the room cost the unit first place in safety inspection. That's an example. And then you would take that situation and you would kind of like, how would you say that to a person? So basically, you can use this. You can use a real example, maybe of somebody you need to talk to, and then you would just basically come up with a plan on how it is you would want to address them, or how you would want to talk to them about something. So do you want me to give you kind of an example of that?
Or constructive feedback?
Yeah.
Okay. I think I have an idea.
Okay. So what I'd like for you to do for that is, for the constructive feedback, I'd like you to go ahead and kind of do that for homework. And then where it says page 18 and 19, just don't worry about doing those 2 pages, because you'll just do this as homework, since we're not actually able to do role plays in class, because normally I break y'all up in teams and you do these role plays and we do it in front of everybody. But since we're just doing this individually, I'll just have you do these pages as homework. And then when we talk again next week, you can kind of we'll go over this together. And what I'd like to try to do is I'd like to try to do 2 lessons every week so that we can kind of move you forward. And so you've come to 7 classes with me so far, 7 of 16. But when we do it individually, I try to do 2 at a time so we can move you through a lot quicker. So essentially you have 9 classes left, but if we do 2 at a time, you would only have to do 5. You'd only have to meet with me 5 times on the phone.
Okay. All right.
Okay?
Yes.
And so also too, if you would like to work ahead in the book, you can do that too, so that when I call you, we can go over the stuff. And then if you have questions, some of it's more directed where you'll need more information from me than what's in the book, but some of it you'll understand just by reading it over.
Absolutely.
Okay? And is Tuesday at 9 o'clock a good time for you?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll just keep it so that way it'll be the same time every week. And That way you'll be able to stay on track.
Okay.
Okay, and you got my number if you need anything, so feel free to call me or email me either way, okay?
All right.
All right, good luck today.
Oh, you too. Thank you.
Okay,
All right. Bye-bye.
bye-bye.